Hey guys, so for today's video, I have always read online and have been asked for from work for a lot of times. Uh, how do you set up a development environment for doing Java development uh, easily on Windows? So I thought that this would be an absolute great idea for a quick walkthrough, since with the tools we have at our disposal nowadays, this is actually quite simple. So, as you can see right here, I have the absolute bare minimum. So we have Google Chrome and just the recording tool. Uh, I absolutely love a tool named Chocolatey, and I think it's the package manager that Windows has always been missing. So to install this, it's actually very simple. You just Google Chocolatey. Um, of course, Google will correct you, and it's just as simple as clicking install now, right? So what is what it's saying is that it wants you to start an administrative shell. So how do we do that? We just open here Windows Start menu, run PowerShell, right? So we see here Windows PowerShell. We right click and run as administrator. This will give us a Windows PowerShell with administrative privileges. And as you can see here, oops, as you can see here, it says all we have to do is just copy this one little command. You just can click in here and paste it. We do this by doing right click in Windows PowerShell, and then we just run the command. This will take a little bit of time, but when it's done, you will now have Chocolatey installed on your system. One of the best things to do every time you install um, some new package with Chocolatey is to always restart your PowerShell. So you can do it by running um, a command, or what I feel is the simplest way to do it is just close it and run it again. So Windows PowerShell, run as it. We can just run it now, simple, and we check that it is installed by doing choco -v. This will give us the version. So it means that it has been installed. Okay, so now that we have Chocolatey installed, the second thing we will need to have our development environment up and running will be Docker for Windows. A simple Google search for Docker install will lead us to the documentation where we can download the necessary installer. It does say here that we need to have our Hyper-V on the machine up and running. So one of the things, if you are gonna be running um, Docker, is that you need to have a Windows Pro Enterprise or Education version. So for Windows Home, it will not work. And of course, you need at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. Uh, but in case you have that, all you need to do is here, and you will need to log in. So we will log in here. Now, after we are logged in, all you have to do is just download uh, the installer. It has 541 megabytes, so I'm not gonna make you wait. I'll just cut off here and we will see each other when this is done. Okay, so now that the download is finished, all we need to do is run the installer. It will prompt us um, to do some changes, all you have to do is click next, next. In my case, I've already run this. Um, so just make sure that after everything will be done, you will have the option to close and restart your system. Um, and then you can start Docker for Windows. Okay, so after, if everything worked correctly for you, after the Docker install, you would have seen that in the startup process, you would have this little icon with Docker desktop, and it will prompt you to install Hyper-V container, and it will restart automatically. So we will now press here OK, and it will do its thing. So if everything went according to plan, after the restart, you should have seen some Windows features being installed and some Windows updates. And now you have Docker up and running. It does always ask you for username and password to log in. It's optional, but we will just do this. And as you can see here, we have Docker for desktop. One of the things we can do to test Docker is do PowerShell and do Docker -v. And as we can see, Docker is up and running. We are at version 18.09.2, and everything will be operational. Now, one of the most useful things I usually find for Docker is Kitematic. It's a visual program to manage your Docker containers, and it's very, very simple to install. So, um, what it does, you just press there, and it will download Kitematic. As you can see here, we have the zip. All you have to do is extract it. As you can see here, so like let's do it again while we're waiting. It says we have to move it to the place where we installed Docker, right? So let us go to this, C, program files, Docker, and it's asking us to make a Kitematic folder. So we just do here right click, folder, and then we move everything from the archive into this directory. Of course, do this for everything. And now, after we did this, from here, we will be able to use Kitematic. It will take a second to start. And again, you need to log in using your username and password. Um, what Kinematic allows us to do is it allows us to see all of the containers we currently have up and running, as well as a list of all the containers available. So as you can see here, we have Jenkins, we have Redis, let's say Spring Boot, image. If you are into PHP with, let's say, Laravel. Uh, and you can easily look at the information or can remove existing images, but it allows us to get information about it really, really fast. So it's at a glance, right? Um, and that's pretty much it for Docker. So now we have Chocolatey, we have Docker installed. Um, let's say that we want to develop something. Well, um, one of the other really helpful tools that I use a lot for Windows is Commander. So it's commander.net. It's a console emulator for Windows. It's really, really simple to install and incredibly powerful. So, as you can see from their side, it comes pre-installed with Git, which is an absolute must-have for development. Um, so we download it. It's incredibly simple to use. Um, and while this is downloading, I let's go to also download our IDE, right? So I'm a big fan of JetBrains. So what I think that like their tools are some of the best in the industry, if not the best. For Java, the go-to solution would be IntelliJ IDEA. They have both a community and an ultimate version. Um, for now, we will download the free trial. You will see me use the paid version. You do have a 30-day trial, but there is also a community and free version. It's built upon mostly for Android, but it's pretty powerful. So let's also start the download on this one. We will need it for later while we're okay, guys. So now that both our IntelliJ IDEA ID and the Commander installation have finished, all we need to do now is go into the installation file. So for Commander, it's actually really, really, really simple. So um, all we have to do is just unzip and run. Um, so here, extract all. Okay, so now that we have Commander installed, to run it, all you have to do is give it permissions. It will run, and as you can see here, we can run complete Linux commands on Windows. So like, for example, we have ls minus la, cd, um, and pretty much everything. We have SSH installed. We also have Git out of the box. So pretty much everything we will need, it's already here. Um, and what I usually like to do is just move all of this into just the C folder, so it's easier to use. And then also I will pin it to the start center. So um, I can easily open it from anywhere since I will be using it a lot. Um, now, the second thing that we need to do is install IntelliJ IDEA. So we just give it UAC permissions. I just let it install in the default. We use the 64-bit. I usually like to add them to my path. I do also want to add them here. We'll let it associate for Java, Groovy, and Kotlin. Um, I will let it install its own JetBrains JDK. Okay, so Let's say in the meantime, while this is installing, that we want to install the JDK. So one of the things you could do in the past is just go to the Oracle site and download the JDK. But of course, now we have much better tools. So we open up Windows PowerShell. Oops, sorry. We open a Windows PowerShell with administrative rights. Okay, so now that we have PowerShell open, all we need to do is just choco install. Let's not use open Oracle's JDK because um, I don't know if you saw, but they did change their license agreement, and after April 16, so um, you are no longer able to use their JDK for free unless you are doing development. So most of the time, that means that on your server you'll have either OpenJDK or something that I use a lot is adapt OpenJDK. So if so one of the things I use a lot is adapt OpenJDK. Um, all we need to do is choco install adapt OpenJDK. This now Chocolatey will go to their site, start downloading the JDK packages. It's about 200 megabytes. Um, and one of the nice things about this is that not only does it handle dependencies, well, in our case for the JDK it has none, um, but down the line I'll show you some more advanced tools that do have lots of other dependencies, but it will also, in our case, handle setting up Java path for us, Java home into the path. So now, since it's gonna take some time to download, um, oh, in the meantime, IntelliJ IDEA has finished setting up and it does want to reboot. Um, I will wait for this to finish. After it has finished, all you have to do is just close or reopen your shell. And now, if we go to PowerShell and do Java minus minus version, we can now see that we are on OpenJDK 12. Um, this is not okay because it's not an LTS version, but I will show you down the line how to install a better version, an LTS version, like for example, OpenJDK 11. But this was just for demonstration purposes. And also here in Commander, we will see the same thing. So if we do Java minus minus version, you'll see that Commander is synced. Now, after IntelliJ has finished setup, it will want a reboot. It's not required, but I strongly suggest. And we will see each other when this one has finished. Okay, guys. So now that we have Docker installed, we have our package manager installed, we have our terminal, and we have our IDE. Let's just verify that the installation was successful. We almost have everything we need to start developing. Um, what we need to do now is set up our SSH key and link it to the GitHub account so that our code will be saved and we will be able to commit. To set up IntelliJ IDEA, it's asking for like if you have any other files. In our case, this is a fresh install, so we have nothing. I usually let them have statistics. And well, of course, we use the Darkula theme. Here you can just like let everything go by default because we will be using almost all of them. What I suggest um, is make sure that you have version control installed, and um, I would also suggest you install here the IDE features trainer. Um, it's really, really powerful, and JetBrains idea is really a complete IDE that has so many features. So one ones that I install is always Node.js, Live Edit tool, because sometimes I just want to play around with some HTML and JavaScript. I don't use Scala all that much, and I always suggest that, especially for the first time you install the IDE features trainer, and give it a go ahead. So um, for now, we just evaluate for free. And if everything went okay, we will now be able to open the IDE. Okay, and in the next tutorial, I will walk you through creating and linking to a GitHub account, creating a test project, and uploading it to GitHub. Okay, guys, so I think we've done enough for today, and I'll see you in the next one.